So tonight is a different kind of episode, a different kind of conversation. Um, and I'm setting up on the Instagram side as well. Um, and this particular conversation that we're having tonight is kind of very near and dear and at the epicenter of my life, my journey. Um, just waiting for some of my people to join us on Instagram. And it's going to be short, but it's going to give you an idea of what to expect in other pieces of content over the next few weeks. Okay, see some people coming in. So let's kind of break something down a little bit. So this past week, if you're a content creator, I want to let you know where this ends. The way that this ends is you, even if you're not technically wouldn't label yourself as a content creator, if you're a subject matter expert or whatever it might be, um, you have a duty and a responsibility to present your work, your product, your philosophy in a way that brings people, delivers, that helps people get to where they want to go. Whether that gets them to a place of peace, financial independence, um, freedom, better night's rest, like whatever it is, back up. Whatever it is, your work has your work's worth is in what it delivers on, what it does for people, especially at in their time of need, in their sometimes in their darkest hours. You know, this point about your work really helping people in their darkest hour can't be overstated, and I mean that. here's what I here's what I'm going to illustrate. So whether it's relationships, business, life in general, people are at different places with these subjects. And when they come online looking for your content, they're looking for hope. They're looking for an answer to their prayers. They don't need to come across your video or content and be left with more questions so that they can go to a link somewhere and, prematurely buy a product before they've accurately identified what the problem is. Now, of course, in one video, if you've done that, great. But and it's not to, critique anything that's offered, right? But I just want you to think through the bigger picture of who you are, what you stand for, what you represent, and like how it really helps people. So I'll give you an illustration of what I'm referring to here. So this past week, I had this experience of, um, let's just call it having my heart broken, right? Now, might be dramatic to some, right? Because for some people, it's not, you never really get your heart broken. You just have expectations get corrected. But I found myself in this condition, in this situation where I was dealing with some emotional, kind of heartfelt, gut level stuff. I didn't necessarily, know where or how to step back from it and figure it out and get the answers that I felt like I really wanted. Because the truth is, when you're hit, right, when you get that punch in your gut from news you didn't expect, especially for those who experience, that heartbreak or that breakup. And even if you kind of feel like, yeah, I saw it coming, but you didn't, or, a business partnership falling apart, or realizing, a friend that you thought was a friend was never really a friend. Like, you name it, right? There's all these kind of like things that happen in life that really get us. And sometimes I just want you to imagine, if you're the person who has, you know, a resolution to this. Sometimes people will go online and they'll look for your work. How to get over heartbreak. How to get over a best friend that you thought was your best friend but isn't your best friend. Right? And then, again, on the extreme side of the relationship coaching world, right? People have like how to get over your ex, et cetera, right? There's all, all that kind of stuff. But I just mean like people who aren't trying to like go some extreme answer. They're not looking for a band-aid. They're really looking for something to bring healing. Right? And so they're going to search. But when they search, they're going to come up with a whole bunch of videos. And they're going to look at the title and they'll look at the thumbnail and they're going to look at the description. Maybe if they see a little blurb, they're going to look at how long the video is and they're going to kind of make an adjustment or an assessment on whether or not that's going to be the thing for them. And sometimes they're going to look at video one. It doesn't really talk, it's not speaking their language because it sounds like the person's trying to sell them something. They're going to go to video two and it just sounds like the person doesn't know what they're talking about. They're going to go to video three and the person sounds like more heartbroken than they are, right? Like they're going to go through all of these, right? So I'm sharing this with you, right? Because I had a similar journey into content this past week. As I was trying to like really mend this part of my inner being that was just wounded and hurt, right? So I came across the meditation stuff, and the meditation, it was like meditation, like I think it was like meditations after, a heartbreak meditation. Some of it was like sound and before you go to sleep, like sleeping after, a breakup or something like that, whatever it was, right? And I was like, hey, let's hear this out. Let's see how this works, right? Rest was not, it didn't make rest any easier, okay? But again, this is just what part of the query was. I think the following day, I remembered a personality, an online personality whose content I also explored. I'll share more about that in another video. And when I came across that content, I was like, one of the first things that I did was I went to the playlist section. Okay. I went to the playlist section because I felt like in the playlist section is going to be a series of videos that addresses and goes a little bit deeper on a particular subject. Right? So that's what I started to do. I went to one particular playlist just to understand what this personality's framework and content was geared towards, right? And I was already familiar with them because I'd seen their content all over, right? In different, YouTube shorts or Instagram sound bites or whatever. And I just have to confess that watching and following and get this, the other thing, long form content, right? Because it was like there was some coaching involved in some of the conversations that were being had in some of the videos. And a little bit of oratory content as well. And it had substance, right? It had substance that challenged me as a guy, as a man, to reassess and reevaluate, life, and life now and life in the days ahead. But one of the things I was so grateful for was that it gave me some language to just figure out where I was at and what was going on with me. Right? And even though it didn't have all the answers, but it gave me enough of a start to start figuring out what my answers needed to be for what my situation was. And it brought me so much relief. And the irony is that that person, this personality, like they're actually no longer alive, right? They've moved on, but the content was there, and the content brought healing to me, right? It's very actually very challenging content, actually, but it brought a lot of healing to me because it, like what I was dealing with was being articulated in what was being discussed again in this playlist. And so, as shallow as it sounds, I started this by talking about content creation, but it's so much deeper than just content creation. It's about saving and helping those who sometimes are drowning in a sea of useless information or noise. And you have to ask yourself if what you're creating is more noise or um, if it's something that heals or soothes or brings relief or brings peace, right, for people. And I realized the value as I was watching this particular channel, of like really having something that has substance, you know, real, just heartfelt, like meat and honesty in the content. And the last thing I also want to say is the content being structured in this playlist format. And although it sounds like kind of like, oh, not a big deal, no. Content being structured in this playlist format is what allows people to binge watch your content and find answers for themselves and builds trust. So, all that said, I've, of course, been thinking about setting up my playlist for the year for anyone, for those who my content is for. And I should have started this off by saying, you know, who I am. I'm Buihemadu, right? Online, you know me as the image architect, um, who's leveraged his background in engineering and really brought it to how we live everyday life. And the goal of the work is really to help you live a life that you feel that you are 100% responsible for architecting the experience of, right? And building a better you so that you can have a better experience of your life, regardless of what's happening. And there's tools and there's resources to do that. And my responsibility is to really do a great job of sending that message and putting that message in forms or content formats that bring healing to other people the way that this other personality's content brought healing to me, in the way that your content needs to bring healing to other people, and or relief or clarity or confidence. I have this book here. This is kind of where, for anyone who's following my content, this is where it really starts. Humanity. In another video, I kind of want to get into it a little bit more, but yeah, I got to save that for another time because I got to run. But I just wanted to be said that creating content from the heart really matters. If you're going to be a content creator, yes, you can do it for the money, but let me tell you, there's so much more value in doing it with the foundation of knowing that it's going to help people and also knowing that as it helps people, people will help themselves to your products. You know. So for those of you who might be thinking or wondering, did I break through? Did my heart recover? It's in the recovery process, right? Not all the way in the clear of that. But I know that from what I've seen and what I've read and what I've, um, been listening to, I should say, and watching in the video or videos, um, I know that there's like some surprising answers to things that I just didn't know I may have had questions about, you know. Um, so that being said, this is just the start of really some genuine, honest, heart-to-heart conversations because I feel like there's not enough spaces online for us to have those conversations. There's just not enough. Like, and when I say honest conversations, I'm not talking, everybody. I call it the neck wag fest, when everybody's got something to say. I just mean places where there's just real thinking, real conversating happening, and real solutions being proposed and discussed and addressed and recommended, right? So that people come away feeling like, okay, they know what they can do for themselves in their lives to be better, right? So I'm gonna end it here, but I want you to stick around because it gets better. Stick around by, of course, liking this video, subscribing or turning on notifications, whatever it might be. Because you and I, we have work to do. We all do. But you and I that are watching this right now, we got work to do. And I am, life-wise surrendered to making sure that we do that work, and we do it wholeheartedly. This conversation, among many other conversations you might have heard or seen me have online, this is me. This is my work. And it's going to get deeper, and it's going to get, more targeted and focused on, elements of how we transform ourselves to be better versions of ourselves, right? So that being said, thank you for watching. If you're seeing this on YouTube, I want you to, of course, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment if you kind of feel where I'm coming from. I think that's important because it allows me to know who's out there and who's checking it out, right? And to make sure that you're actually paying attention to. So that's it, guys. Appreciate you watching, and stay tuned for what's next and for what's around the corner, because like I said, there's more to come. All right, guys, appreciate it. Talk to you soon. All right, on the YouTube side, we'll catch up later. And like I said, subscribe, all that good stuff to the channel. And I'll also catch up with you guys soon.